Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Our next Nugget 2021 session will be covering the pillars of effective teams. This session will be led by Donna Ghalambor, the president of SphoArian Consulting and Coaching. Unfortunately, Donna wasn't able to join us live today, but we do encourage you to connect with Donna on LinkedIn. We've included her link down below. So please feel free to click that. If you have any questions, reach out to her and she'd be happy to ask them. So with that, all systems are go. Let's get things started.
Hello, Netrio. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are on the face of this majestic globe. My name is Donna Ghalambor. I'm the president of SphoArian Consulting and Coaching, and it's an absolute honor to be here with you today and talk about teamwork. Over the last decade, we've seen the use of teams grow exponentially in organizations. Increased competition and globalization have forced companies to restructure to compete more effectively and efficiently. They quickly assemble and deploy teams to achieve a certain goal and then disband the team and refocus on another objective. But why do they do that? Well, potentially, forming teams can help organizations better utilize their human capital. Teams are usually and potentially more responsive to changes in the marketplace, in the industry, and the demands of customers. Team members are usually highly engaged and highly productive. They're highly motivated to get the job done. There's an increased level of participation in decision-making process. And as a result, the organizations will end up generating a lot of ideas because of the teamwork, which can potentially lead to innovation and creativity. The extensive use of teams creates this potential for an organization to generate greater output with no increase in employee headcount. You notice how many times I use the word potential in this slide? There's nothing magical that can ensure the achievement of this greater output in the creation of teams. Merely calling a group a team doesn't automatically improve its performance. So teams are not always effective, and it's important to take a look at how to assemble and deploy teams effectively. If management hopes to gain increases in organizational performance through the use of teams, it's important to pay attention to the characteristics of effective teams. Effective teams highly coordinate with each other. They collectively work towards the goal and the objective that the team has. Not only they have a common vision, but also they have a common mission and purpose. Individuals in teams are interdependent, meaning there is mutual reliance between them. The interactions are purposeful and meaningful, and in general, the dynamic of effective teams is highly active. They have established trust, and they have high levels of cohesiveness. When it comes to accountability, they not only have team accountability, mutual accountability, but they also have individual accountability. Individuals in teams, they complement each other's skill sets, competencies, knowledge, and abilities. The output of an effective team is greater than the sum of individual inputs. And that's what positive synergy is. Just like any other context or situation, when human beings interact, conflict is inevitable. But in effective teams, they know how to navigate through conflict and how to resolve it in the most effective and efficient way. Okay, so now we know what effective teams look like. Next time we're assembling a team, how do we take all the measures in creating such teams? There's so much empirical research done on the topic of effective teams, and specifically the research done by Timothy Judge and his associates recommend paying attention to some key variables in teams when we're assembling them as leaders. First, all the contextual influences that make teams effective. Second, relates to the composition of the team. And last, not least, process variables are events within the team that influence the level of effectiveness. Let's take a look at each one of these three key factors of effective teams one by one. What are the contextual influencers? Teams rely on resources, not just any random resources. They need adequate and right fiscal resources, physical resources, and human resources, such as timely information, proper equipment, adequate staffing, encouragement, admin assistance, and so on and so forth. Scarcity of the right resources or not having access to them leads to lower level of effectiveness. Creating a safe space is also very essential for building trust and cohesiveness. Lisa Nichols said there are three pillars to a safe space. Number one, no judgment of self or others. Number two, no repercussion. And number three, providing unconditional support to one another. And speaking about no repercussion, I would like to also quote from Nick Pope that in high-performing and highly effective teams, the cost of speaking out is lowered and the cost of silence is raised. Safe space facilitates cooperation. It reduces the need to monitor other people's actions and behaviors in the team. It increases bonding. Individuals take more risk because they feel safe. They don't feel like they're being judged. And also they expose vulnerability to one another. Trust should not just be built among the individuals that are placed in the team, but also we should make sure we take all the measures that individuals in the team trust the leadership, because it's only through trust that they can accept and commit to the leader's goals and decisions. So as leaders, we need to set a cooperative tone as soon as possible in the life of a team. A highly competitive environment is not conducive to a safe space. And it's us as leaders that we need to facilitate the process for success and create that environment that will lead to the desired outcomes that we seek in the team. We as leaders need to get members to agree on the specifics of the work. We need to get their buy-in and their commitment and make sure that they fit well together to utilize and integrate their individual skills into a greater team output and create that positive synergy. When it comes to performance evaluations, we need to hold both individuals and teams accountable. Not only we should have group-based appraisals, but also we need to have individual performance evaluations. With regards to reward systems, they need to be equitable and based on team contribution. We need to set the profit and gain sharing and incentives for great team performance. We need to reward individuals for their cooperative effort, not competitive effort. We need to reward individuals for training other members of the team, for sharing information, for being open to communication, for helping resolve team conflicts, and for mastering the skills that the team needs to have to get the job done. We need to recognize them for the teamwork effort, not just through the promotions and pay raise and bonuses, which are all extrinsic rewards, but also through intrinsic rewards. For example, establishing camaraderie among the individuals in the team, which is an intrinsic reward. When it comes to composition, we need to pay attention how we staff the teams. A manager must pay close attention to how a team is put together to assure group cohesiveness and effectiveness. We need to have the right combination of abilities, knowledge, and skills for the task. There should be a match between ability, knowledge, skill set, and the task. If we put together a high ability team with high level of competency and skill set and ability for a routine or rudimentary task, not only it's a waste of resources, but also it adversely impacts so many variables of the teamwork. There should be a balance between skill sets If we have individuals with high levels of technical skills, we need to make sure that in that team, there are also individuals with high level of interpersonal skills. Personality has a significant influence on individual behavior as well as team behavior. We need to have the right blend of different personality types. If we put together a team of 5 and 4 of the members have dominant personalities, that's a recipe for disaster because we're going to have ongoing conflict down the road. Research shows that teams that have members with high levels of conscientiousness and openness to experience, which both are traits of personality, with low levels of agreeableness, they tend to perform best. Why? Because conscientious people, they back up other team members. They sense when support is needed. And openness to experience usually translates to better communication skills. Individuals with high levels of openness to experience, they are the ones that throw in a lot of ideas. And they're open to new things, which can eventually lead to creativity and innovation. And why did I say minimum levels of agreeableness? Because when there is a low level of conflict, it can actually serve the team. Because individuals engage in brainstorming activities, they talk with each other, they listen to the perspective of other people. And that way, groupthink doesn't happen, pressure to conform doesn't happen, which eventually helps with the effectiveness of the team. As leaders, we need to pay attention to the preferences of individuals that we're placing in teams. High-performing teams are likely to be composed of people who prefer to work in a team. We all have been asked, at least at one point in our career path, are you a team player or an individual contributor? If you place individuals that do not like to be placed in teams in a team, it's going to impact several different organizational behavior outcomes in the team. So it's our job as leaders to pay attention to the individual's preferences and form teams with individuals that like to do teamwork, because that will translate to better job satisfaction. And as I said, it will impact other organizational behavior variables such as performance, team morale, engagement, and involvement. Teams have different needs, and members should be selected to ensure all the various roles are filled. As a leader, it's our job to identify the roles that would meet the needs of the team. We need to be clear about the specific duties of such roles. Especially when it comes to vital core roles, it's our job to make sure we pick the right personality types and the right combination of ability, knowledge, and skill set for those vital core roles. Team members should have clarity. Through our communication, they should gain that clarity about role expectations. What do we expect them to do? And it's our job, again, as leaders, to make sure there's no gap between our expectation of them and their perception of their role. We also need to identify if there are any role conflicts, if individuals are playing a variety of roles in the team or across different teams. On that topic of role allocation, I would like to also add the size of the team is also very critical. Large teams are good for fact-finding and problem-solving, but it's the small teams that are usually highly cohesive, highly performing, and also with faster response. Jeff Bezos has coined the term 2 pizza rule, meaning teams should be small enough to be able to feed them with just 2 pizza. He did not mention the size of the pizza, by the way, but we know what that is. Small teams are easier to coordinate. There's less chance of social loafing and lack of visibility when the team is small. Small teams are highly cohesive, potentially. When it comes to diversity, we're not just talking about surface level diversity, team demography and the diversity of attributes such as gender and race and observable characteristics. We're also talking about deep level diversity, diversity in ideas, in perspectives, in attitudes and values. Because again, that will put us as an organization on a path to creativity and innovation. Members from homogeneous cultures have less difficulty learning to work with each other because they're from the same cultural background. They solve problems easier and faster versus members from heterogeneous cultures. If as leaders, we put together a team that is a blend of high context culture individuals and low context culture individuals, we need to make sure as leaders, we integrate the cultures into a third culture that speaks to all the cultures that are present and exist in the team. Otherwise, there are going to be communication barriers down the road, and chances of conflict will also increase. We all know individuals that are from high context cultures, when they communicate, there are all those nuances, read between the line, the non-verbals, all the indirect communication that comes from their culture versus low context culture individuals. The communication is very direct. So we need to create that safe space, create that environment for individuals to have communication about their cultural backgrounds and be able to resolve those communication barriers early on in the life of the team. Team processes should produce positive results. The output should be greater than the sum of the inputs, as I mentioned earlier, which is positive synergy. We want to have process gain, not process loss. Members of teams should have commitment to a common plan and purpose. And it's our job as leaders to clearly communicate the vision and mission of the team. Which direction are we heading? What's the end result? Where do we want to get in the future, which is the vision of the team? And also, in order to get there in the future, what do we need to do now, which is the mission and the purpose of the team? That clarity should help us get agreement, commitment, and buy-in from the members of the team. Once we analyze the mission of the team with the members of the team, then we're able to create strategies and develop goals with them participating in that process. We need to translate purpose into challenging, smart goals. Goals should be challenging in order to be motivational. And SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Having clear goals facilitates better communication among team members and between the team and the leadership. And it also helps maintain focus on results and makes progress evaluation a lot easier because we know what the goal is. And if we get off track, we know how to fix it. Members should have confidence in the team. Past success breeds future success. We can increase team efficacy by setting initial small successful steps for the team, for them to be able to achieve and build efficacy, and then celebrate those achievements and such success with them so they can have more success in the future. We as leaders need to give visibility not just to the team, but also to the members of the team for their contributions. We need to frequently acknowledge and validate individuals for their contributions. And when necessary, we need to offer training, coaching, and mentorship. We need to foster a positive team identity because when individuals identify with the team, they emotionally connect with one another and with the team as a whole, and they end up investing more resources, such as time and energy, into the team. Cohesion means members are attracted and emotionally attached to one another, and they're motivated toward the team because of that emotional attachment. Effective teams, they are highly cohesive and they have a tight connection with one another. This is a great tool for us as leaders to predict performance and other organizational outcomes, such as job satisfaction and loyalty. Research shows that small teams have higher chance to be cohesive. The more team members spend time with each other, especially if they're physically isolated from the rest of the organization, because then that creates the team identity also. The more they do that, the higher the likelihood to be cohesive. Perhaps we've all been part of a team building offsite event at some point in our career for the purpose of being more cohesive as a team. Members must have accurate and common mental model of how to get the work done. Incorrect or inaccurate mental models will only decrease effectiveness. And by mental model, I mean psychological map, a common belief and knowledge on how to get the job done. Relationship conflicts are usually detrimental in teams, but task conflicts, especially lower levels of task conflict, may actually lead to superior performance and decisions. As leaders, we need to offer trainings and tools to the individuals that are placed in teams on how to navigate conflict and resolve them in a timely manner. We don't want individuals to hide within the team and coast on group effort because they think individual contributions cannot be identified. As leaders, we are the ones that need to set individual accountability and team accountability to lower the chances of this tendency for social loafing. And with that, we conclude the last influential factor in creating team effectiveness. So the three influential factors that we covered: context, composition, and process. In closing, I would like to leave you with a quote from Carnegie. Teamwork is the secret that makes ordinary people achieve extraordinary results. It's been a pleasure to be with you here today. And until we see each other, keep shining, Netrio. Thank you.